All right, guys, happy Tuesday. People in the chat already accusing me of being on colored people time. That's not true. I'm not running late. I set it for 10 minutes later so we could review elements. I know that you guys, like me, are admittedly going to be very sad when the Baldoni Reynolds saga ends. But not today, Satan, because I have another bombshell, and this time it is pertaining to the New York Times. Amazing. The emails you guys are sending me are just amazing. Plus, everything in my view hinges upon RFK Jr. being confirmed in the Senate. You guys know how I am, super crunchy health nut. But there are many people right now that are trying to stop the confirmation hearing from happening, including his cousin. This family, man, they got a lot of drama. His cousin has come out, and she is saying that he puts baby chickens in a blender. I have a lot of questions about that. So let's get started, and welcome back to Candace. I gotta tell you guys right at the top here, I don't understand the people who follow politics and are sometimes like, Candace, don't cover so much culture. And then you get these left-leaning TikTokers, I see you guys, I'm following all of you, who are begging me to only cover culture. Oh, we like you so much when you don't cover politics. People, it is all connected. It's the same thing. It's just put into a language that you can better understand. Politically, I believe in due process, which is why I always read the facts of the case before accepting the media narrative. See that? That means that I might be defending Justin Baldoni or Donald Trump from the #MeToo movement. It is very important to compartmentalize how you feel about somebody personally from how you are receiving information about a case that they're involved in. Politically, I know for a fact that the mainstream media will lie and they will smear on behalf of their powerful friends. And it is looking like, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Justin Baldoni may have a very strong case against the New York Times. You're not going to believe this, okay? This pertains to data. You guys would describe this as metadata. I would describe it as metadata. I am hearing from my director, who's like super techie, that technically this is URL data. Doesn't matter. Let's just talk about what it is. Think of data in general as digital footprints, okay? So like you can't like run from the scene of an online crime because people can just trace your metadata and see where this started, okay? So in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, he accuses Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively of colluding with the New York Times. And I think explicitly it says for months that they were plotting with the New York Times for months to smear him. And there may be some important evidence regarding that accusation, because you have to remember that Blake Lively filed her civil rights complaint. This was the huge explosion. She filed a civil rights complaint in Los Angeles on December 20th. And then within 24 hours, the New York Times had the scoop. They published the complaint in its entirety, and it definitely looked suspicious, okay? But before December 21st, when the New York Times then reported on it, absolutely no one in the media thought Justin Baldoni was behind a smear campaign against her. This was like a very shocking filing. That came before Christmas. We're all like, whoa, 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 what's going on? And suddenly she's accusing him of sexual harassment, and she's saying that he then orchestrated, along with his PR people, this huge campaign against her, essentially saying that everything was inorganic. People hating her, it wasn't possible that anybody hated her personality or her hair products because she's just so amazing. And we were like, wow. And some people, and by some I mean everyone, really, except for me, I was the only person in the entire world, maybe there's a couple other people, but they believed her narrative instantly because the allegations were so strong. And I just kind of held fire because I don't trust the New York Times to save my life. Well, guess what? Yesterday I got an email from someone, another anonymous person, and they say, hey, Candace, you should check out the metadata from the New York Times big publication about Justin Baldoni, because they didn't think about this. But if you go into that article and you click the images in the article about Justin Baldoni's smear campaign, it shows you that they began creating the images and pulling the images for that article on December 16th. Look at this. I'm showing you this right now. You can do this yourselves at home. You don't have to be tech savvy. I certainly am not. If you right click your mouse on the lead image, that is a original artwork from the New York Times, an artist. So I'm going to tell you about Najiba Al-Gadban is her name. She doesn't even work at the New York Times, but I guess she apparently is still doing some work for them. And she used to work there. It shows you, if you look at that URL, look at the date on that. 12/16/2024, the New York Times saved this image, this original art image, as Lively Topper. So they were working on this article 4 days before. This is what it looks like, okay? 4 days before they published the piece. Let me show you another one. You can pull another image from this because they were saving these files and did not think about their digital footprints. You can see they even named this file, multimedia file, that was named on 12/18. That is 2 days before Blake Lively filed her complaint. And they named it Smear Baldoni. Now, that is, to me, the biggest clue right there, the title of it, because I was playing devil's advocate. I'm like, okay, well, maybe they saved this image and they happened to, they were already working on a piece about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni on 12/18. And they really just got so lucky that as they were working on this piece, she filed a complaint 2 days later. Obviously, that's pretty unbelievable as it is. But I was like, I got to play devil's advocate before I jump into a conspiracy. But no. You named it Smear Baldoni. Do you guys remember what the article was actually entitled that they actually released on 12/21? I'm showing you, we can bury anyone inside a Hollywood smear machine. So you can see that image, which is original artwork. So that's not something that they pulled from the web. It's something that they asked someone to make for them. And it's pieces. All of these little pieces were pulled in, including the alleged emails and messages. Those are the little triangles that you have there that are from the PR campaign. So they were already working on this explosive piece, because otherwise, why on earth did they name it Smear in their files? We have one more image to show you of how you can look at this yourself. You can literally do this yourself just by right-clicking and creating a new tab. This is how the New York Times was saving these images. And I think we have one more that actually you can just see how they titled it. You see Smear Baldoni, Super Jumbo. This is their JPEG image. The New York Times is going to be in a lot of trouble. They're going to have, let's put it this way, a lot of explaining to do. How did you create this file and these images for this article on the 16th regarding something that Blake Lively had not filed in court? What piece were you working on regarding Justin Baldoni smearing? No one had accused him of that on the 16th or the 18th. No filing had been made by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, or Blake Lively rather, at that time. What was your insight? Well, if you're in the New York Times, you're going to say, I don't have to divulge that to you because there's this thing called the First Amendment. And I'm going to say that we are taking journalistic privilege. Okay, sure. Do you know who's not going to get journalistic privilege? The graphic designer who made that topper. Because that person is not a journalist, okay? The entire purpose of having journalistic privilege, where you can say, I'm not going to answer the question, is to protect a source. The idea is the media is supposed to be the fourth estate. They're supposed to be with us, protecting us against power, like the A-list power of these couples who can make a phone call to the New York Times and take someone down so they can steal their movie, allegedly, right? So that's why that's the entire idea behind being able to claim journalistic privilege. But in this case, they're not going to ask for a source. They're not going to ask a graphic designer on the stand, because that's the first thing I would do. If you're watching Brian Friedman, you got to get this graphic designer on the stand. You ask one question. When did you create this image? That's it. This image has text messages. It's got these emails. Blake Lively, the victim, had not yet filed yet in California. So graphic designer, I don't care about who your source is. I just want to know when you did your job. When did you make this artistic image? And can you explain why the URL data points to the fact that this was saved under this title on the 16th and on the 18th? That's a problem, my friends, and I cannot believe it. And I am telling you, this case, to me, I have not seen a case so open and shut in my life. And the more that I read and the more details that I get into, because I've been working on my timeline, I'm just shocked at how many lies were told, okay? Now, here's another thing that I missed yesterday. Okay, we got to review this rooftop scene. I told you I made my team watch it. I've only watched the rooftop scene of this entire movie, and I wasn't, compelled to watch it any further. But Blake Lively, it appears to me, completely lied about that critical scene in which she involved Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds, her dragon. She's Khaleesi, because she really wanted her vision to be included in this. Okay. So let me bring up my timeline here that I've created, like a psychopath, okay, of 2023. This is the part of the timeline here. And I want you to look at April 5th, 2023. Blake Lively texts, well, that's actually about the intimacy coordinator. I'll actually go down to April 11th. Around this date, and I couldn't pinpoint, it could have been the 10th, the 11th, or the 12th, Blake Lively submits to Justin Baldoni a rewrite of that iconic rooftop scene of the film. And essentially, he says to her, like, hey, this is amazing, and I love that you're so passionate about this, but, we're not going to use all of this. Some of this is good. We're not going to use the rest. So she then invites him, in this time frame, to her penthouse, where he gets ambushed by Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, peer pressuring him by telling him how much they just love and adore Blake's rewrite. You remember this part of the story, right? That's the big T Swift element. Oh, we just love it. She's amazing. She's so talented. And he gets back to her and says via text, like, hey, you really didn't have to bring your A-list friends. I liked what you did. There was no reason, to include them. And she kind of meets him with silence and then writes this long message to him, an incredibly long message that I'm not going to read in its entirety here, about how his response didn't make her feel good, right? And he's trying to tell her, like, I think you're great. And I didn't need your A-lister friends. And she's saying, listen, like, in the past, I haven't been treated, I'm paraphrasing here, the best by people taking my work seriously. We're in this together. We can make this great. I have no motives except for you to win as a director. Let's go to the next page of this message. She says, as for Taylor and Ryan, I'm the luckiest mother effer on the planet to have them as my dance mom level stage moms. They are embarrassingly effusive. That said, they are also my most trusted partners and the people that I go to first with anything creative that I touch, and I'm the person that they each go to first. That reciprocal creativity and support has been one of my life's greatest and most fulfilling gifts. When they loved and signed off on the pages, I felt good to send them to you. So this is like when he just starts feeling like he's basically being ganged up here. Then she says, they asked what you thought specifically after. They checked in so many times. I told them that you laughed a bunch and said that it's probably a blend, but that you appreciate my passion so much, which of course didn't feel great to me, right? To have my passion praised instead of any specific contribution, or even just that you don't like the pages, which was fine also. Next, this last part of the message, she's essentially saying to him, so I think they wanted you and me to see how they felt about the work because they've been by my side for far too many experiences where I've been overlooked. I spoke to you about this when we first met. They've watched me handwrite scripts because the directors are too afraid to send the FDX file, yet he scans. So she goes on and on about how she's been mistreated. And then that's how it culminates into that final message where she says, look, both Ryan and Tay, I'm assuming she said T here, have established themselves as absolute titans, as writers and storytellers outside of their primary gig, just singing or just acting or blank just directing. I'm so lucky to have them as creative barometers. And then she ends it with the notorious Khaleesi. If you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll appreciate that I'm Khaleesi, and like her, I happen to have a few dragons, for better or worse, but usually for better, because my dragons also protect those I fight for. So really, we all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine. You will too, I can promise you. Now, that message was so long that I chose to paraphrase it because it would have taken me 10 minutes to read it in its entirety, longer, maybe even 15 minutes to read it in its entirety. And so Justin Baldoni opted, because men don't write novels via text, they just don't, to send her a voice note back. And it's important, I'm telling you that, because he has now leaked, or someone on his team has leaked this voicemail. And we're going to listen to it because it really helps you understand how much he fell over himself to grovel and apologize. And essentially he felt he had no option. And moved to include her new rewrite, emphasis on her new rewrite of the scene, in order to, I guess, kowtow to these A-listers. Like he's not, it's Taylor Swift. He feels there's an implicit threat here. Like, this is a dragon that can kill you. So be very careful. Here's my pet dragon. It's very scary. And here is part of that leaked audio as of yesterday. Take a listen to Justin Baldoni groveling is the only way to describe it to Blake Lively.
I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank. And I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short. And you worked really hard on that. I'm really sorry. I f***ed up. That is a fail on my part. One thing you should know about me is I will admit and apologize when I fail. I am far from perfect. I am a very flawed man, as my wife will attest. Damn right, you got great friends if that's how you felt and they knew that. And we should all have friends like that, aside from the fact that they're two of the most creative people on the planet. The three of you guys together is unbelievable. Talk about energy and just a force, all three of you. But I just wanted you to know that I didn't need that, because it's really good and it's gonna make the movie sing like you said, and I'm excited to go through the whole movie with you. I am so sorry you have been through what you've been through with these other filmmakers and producers or whoever the people were that you worked with. It just pissed me off. Those heads that, I'm just still kind of blown away that this is the industry that we're in and that you've experienced that as a woman. And I know I don't need to say it, but that's not at all going to be or will be, and hopefully it's not been the experience with me. There's nothing more exciting to me like that I get to work with Blake Lively and have her, all of her. I mean, that's what I want. And so there's been no hesitancy with me sending you the final draft file. I am totally fine with that. The only reason I didn't send it today was because I was trying to implement and add your notes into my working draft, which is already, like, I'm all over that draft right now. So I hope you're feeling better, and give Ryan my love. Thank you for sending me that. It means the world to me that you trust me with your feelings and your thoughts like that. And I can't wait to spend more time with you. Okay, I'm done cutting myself off. Good night.
It physically hurts me to listen to that audio. I can't explain it. It hurts me so bad. I don't know. I don't know if you feel the same way listening to it, but it's just a man being fully castrated by a woman who is using toxic feminism to get what she wants, right? And so she sends this message and he just grovels. And to give him some credit here, like I said, I've gone through his Instagram. This is who Justin Baldoni actually is. He's not playing a part of being a male feminist. Like, this is the rare bird in Los Angeles who believes what they say, who's not just virtue signaling. He's worked really hard to get to this point where he just listens to women. He has not yet perceived that a woman might do something evil. He has not yet learned the lesson that nice guys can sometimes finish last, right? And when I say finish last, I mean suddenly have an entire movie yanked out of their hands and have a male who's really a beta. I'm going to say a beta male is what Ryan Reynolds is, but playing the part of an alpha by mocking him mercilessly on the internet. And I'm telling you, I have clawed through everything looking for one petty like from Justin Baldoni. I can't find it. He literally just allowed them to walk all over him. And again, I think part of that was because he was terrified of Taylor Swift. He was terrified of Taylor Swift. You don't want to go up against Taylor Swift when you are a guy, okay? Because she can ruin you. She can literally ruin you. She has these fans who hang on every single word that she sings. Blake knows that. Ryan knows that. And now Justin Baldoni is just basically saying, I fold. But here's the crazy part of that entire thing. I didn't pick up on this yesterday. I did not pick up on this yesterday. That entire scene that we just watched, okay, of this is my writing and I've been treated bad and this is my rewrite. This is all about the rooftop scene. Fast forward to the day of the premiere of this movie on the red carpet. And shockingly, Blake Lively says, Ryan Reynolds wrote the scene, okay? So he gave her what she wanted. included her scene, shot the scene, and then him and the producers found out on the day of the red carpet event on August 6th, a year later, in August 6th, 2024, that, haha, JK, Ryan was behind the entire scene. Take a listen to what Blake Lively tells E! News at this event.
Ryan's here tonight. What is it like for the both of you to be promoting major motion pictures at the same time?
Oh my gosh, it's just so thrilling in our house right now. We help each other, we work together so much. So the iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you now. But he wrote it. He works on everything I do. I work on everything he does. So his wins, his celebrations are mine, and mine are his. I mean, he's all over this film.
What a manipulative, lying little twerp she is. I cannot stand her for this. You put Justin through all of that pain, which means also, what, Taylor Swift lied too? I'm asking a question here. But they took him to the penthouse. They all gang up on him. This is the scene that we want in the movie. No, it's Blake Lively's work. It's amazing. It's amazing. Only for her to go, ha, 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 ha. Nobody knows this, but Ryan wrote the whole scene. He wrote the entire, it's Ryan's work. Ryan, again, as I said, seems very obvious to me that Ryan is the hand behind everything that is happening here, Justin Baldoni. He is playing a fake alpha when in fact he is a true beta. Ryan, if he comes up against a real alpha, he can get his little butt whooped. I'm telling you that right now, okay? I can see it. I keep telling you about the Botox markers in his forehead, okay? But I couldn't believe the audacity of that lie. That tells us who she is as a human being, to be that manipulative and that emotional about the hurt and the pain because people didn't take her seriously, only to discover that she didn't do the work. Ryan did the work. Ryan wrote the entire thing, okay? And they allowed that. They allowed Justin to feel that. Makes me angry. Another thing that I missed yesterday, I was telling you my narrative here. Again, I'm speculating that Ryan got home and things were a little weird, okay? He was, in the beginning, they were in pre-production at the same time that her movie was in pre-production. He was in England. I went through his Instagram like a psycho and made sure through his posts that he was in England, and he was, because he purchased the AFC team. What's the name of it, Skylar? I keep forgetting. Wrexham, yes. And so he was doing all of this filming with Wrexham. He was in pre-production, and that's actually why they shot Deadpool and Wolverine in England, in the UK, because it was close to what he was doing in Wrexham. So he was really kind of MIA in the first few months of the year while she's kind of getting closer to Justin Baldoni. And I told you that suddenly, like, the SAG-AFTRA strike happens, and obviously he's home. And she starts making these weird demands, despite the fact that she had declined the intimacy coordinator. But the thing that I missed, she keeps using the intimacy coordinator as a way to be like, I demand one, when she had refused one. But the thing that I missed was that it was the very same day that the SAG-AFTRA strike ended that Blake Lively sent that email, which suspended their production because they had to deal with this crisis. So let's pull up this November timeline that I've created because I'm a psycho, okay? So I told you the July 19th, you see, is when Blake, now production has been shut down. Blake Lively then makes a request, which I think was very suspect, to see all the dailies in the email. And the emails are so formal sounding when weighed against the tone of her text messages. She's talking about like suppositories, joking with him, all of these jokes. But the email is extremely formal on July 19th, where she's like, allow me to see all the dailies, all the raw footage, okay? Then you had that July 26, 2023 birthday post where we see the first mention of Ryan Reynolds saying an intimacy coordinator. We fast forward to November 9th, the exact date that the SAG-AFTRA strike ends. This isn't significant because it means that both Ryan and Blake can now go back to work. That means bye-bye Ryan, back on a plane to the UK. And Blake, we got to start refilming again. Like, production's back up to running. We'll see you at work maybe tomorrow, November 10th. Well, no, it didn't happen because on November 9th, suddenly, you can pull that back up, they send out that email with the 17 points of demand, which say, it's an ultimatum. She's not going to come back to film unless you agree to these 17 points. That signals to me that Ryan can then go return to England, which he did, to go film Wolverine, knowing safely that for these last months of filming, which he did, November, December into January, Blake Lively's not at work. She's not going to be with Justin Baldoni because you've just thrown down a gauntlet, and the production company is shocked because she's saying that she needs an intimacy coordinator. And they're like, you had one. You refused one. We have an email chain with you and your lawyers in May where we talked about an intimacy coordinator. You missed the meeting. Justin went. What is this actually about? This is about that narrative that I think they instantly started spinning. And I believe that they are going to be able to prove in court that this was almost a method of extortion, because they are accusing them of extortion, of trying to get this film wrangled out of Justin Baldoni's hands. And I think this was personal. Ryan Reynolds versus Justin Baldoni, all of the evidence points to that. Now I need to bring up Taylor Swift, okay? And I put a trigger warning on my Instagram. I know you guys are Taylor Swift stans, Gen Z people on TikTok. This is where I get into trouble with you because you don't understand how I don't understand how great she is. I am not saying she is not a remarkable talent. I'm not saying that her music is not catchy. I just don't like the style of a woman who was born the same year as me. We are the same age, you know, born in 1989. We are 35 years old. You know, dropping Easter eggs, which I view, and I think in this circumstance, you might be able to see my side in this, as a form of smearing people who can't defend themselves and wouldn't defend themselves because they're powerless against your fame. And your fans are very passionate, and you know they're passionate. So when you tell them that you're hurting, they just instantly take your style, okay? So look at this. So I started looking at the Taylor Swift timeline because so much of what Ryan Reynolds did here with dropping Easter eggs was very much a Taylor Swift, like, I don't know, it was her style. And let's pull up April again, okay? Something significant that happened in April of 2023, because once he mentioned that Taylor Swift was out of the apartment, I'm like, oh, wait, I remember this, because Taylor Swift was basically a ghost for 5 years while she was dating Joe Alwyn. And because he's English and English people are exceedingly private, she was kind of like living in London, dropped the bop, London Boy, love that song, okay? And then as soon as they broke up, she wanted to be seen. Like, we had never seen more of Taylor Swift than after Joe Alwyn and her broke up. And she kind of had these, what looked to me to be very coordinated pap shots that were taken of her and Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. And this is one of them leaving a restaurant. And then on the same day, Ryan Reynolds deleted or unfollowed Joe Alwyn as well as the Haim sisters and Gigi Hadid. Really mature stuff for a 48-year-old. I'll tell you why I'm telling you this. We go back into that time. Look at this. Go back to that one. Actually, that photo is amazing. It's like, I don't know. Now we got bad blood, right? It's like, I don't know. She wanted to be seen is the point, because we didn't see her for 5 years. And it was kind of sending this signal to the press that, like, oh, now she's a free bird. Fine. I don't care. I get it. Back into the timeline, though. So they break up. And on April 10th, I went to go check this back, is when she arrives in New York City after her breakup with Joe Alwyn, and she stays for weeks. And that's when the whole thing goes down with her saying that this is what T thinks about everything. April 20th was a photo we just showed you where they're intentionally photographed in public together, which generates all these headlines about her post-Joe Alwyn breakup announcement. She's super happy. And so I'm looking at that and I'm going, was any of this guided by her? Like, because I'll tell you how I got there. The New York Times, now that we know that there's this data, which points to the fact that they were working on this for a while, and now that we know that Justin Baldoni's team, according to the lawsuit, believe that they were courting with them, I kept thinking the New York Times is very powerful. For them to take such a severe risk, right, working on a hit piece about Justin Baldoni, it's like, why would they do that, right? It is a risk that I do not think would have been afforded to who I view as B-list actors, right? Blake Lively to me is a B-list actor. Ryan Reynolds is well known, but he's not in the stratosphere of Taylor Swift and like the Kardashians and Kanye West and Oprah Winfrey. Like, that's like another stratosphere. Those are the people who can pick up the phone. Like, Kris Jenner can pick up the phone and if she wants to get some articles that are written. Okay, that's the stratosphere of power you have to be able to call Endeavor and say, you know, drop Justin Baldoni. You can't just be like, well, I've done 2 Deadpool films. Okay, it's like, okay, I've done some rom-com. No one cares. Okay, no one actually cares. So I just thought to myself, I've heard the rumors about what goes on behind the scenes and how powerful Taylor Swift is. Now, she may have just connected them and said, here you go. But that was the first clue for me that something was weird. Then, as we went through all of those Deadpool scenes, which read like a Taylor Swift album, like dropping all of these Easter eggs about someone, who are you talking about? Again, unbelievably embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing for a 35-year-old woman. You can dispute that. But even more so for a 48-year-old man, because that's how old Ryan Reynolds is. And it's like 2 men should definitely not be doing that. At least Taylor Swift's market is young girls. Ryan, what are you doing? Like, this is like really not okay. And I forgot to mention to you that they even did the thing. So something that Taylor Swift is known to do is like in the, not the credits, I guess literally the credits, the people that write her music, if she wants to hide their names, she gives them different names and includes it in their credits, which was what she did with Joe Alwyn. I think her fans worked out which one Joe Alwyn was. I don't know what it was, but they did this. Blake Lively did this at the end of the credits for It Ends With Us. They left an Easter egg, okay? So here we go. These are the ends of the credits for It Ends With Us, and you'll see right there, it says Gordon Reynolds. They're thanking, a special thanks to Gordon Reynolds. She thanks Austin Swift, she thanks Taylor Swift, and she thanks Gordon Reynolds. And when you look up who Gordon Reynolds is, it's, and I will now show you the end credits for Deadpool, it's Nice Pool. So on his own movie, you guys, on Justin Baldoni's own movie, Blake Lively thought it would be funny to include an Easter egg in the credits to let people know that the person who viciously mocked the director and the producer and the person who took this book from obscurity and turned it into a film, it'd be funny to mock him with an Easter egg. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it's hard to keep up with all of the ways in which they just tried to humiliate him. So he was forced to watch his own movie. He probably doesn't even know this. I mean, I'm assuming Justin Baldoni is now watching my show to learn about his life. That's what's happening right now. Justin, you were literally didn't even know that in the credits of your movie, you are being mocked. You are being mocked. Nice Pool is in the credits under Gordon Reynolds. And to be clear, again, that's a very Taylor Swift style thing to do. And then notoriously, and I think this is a bit out of the usual, Taylor Swift heavily promoted the movie Deadpool and Wolverine. And here's what she wrote on her Instagram. She wrote, over the past few years, I have watched one of my best friends on this planet pour every bit of his heart, soul, sweat, time, energy, jokes, pain, joy, rebellion, darkness, and magic into this film. He's created the best work of his life. And this film feels like an actual joy portal, a wild escape from reality, and an abs sandwich. I don't know how he did it. But that's just Hugh for you. So she's being funny. Obviously, she's talking about Ryan, but pretend she's talking about Hugh. These other randoms crashed the photo, and we were too polite to ask them to leave. This is very like Blake and Ryan type humor. Deadpool and Wolverine's out tomorrow. Here's where to buy tickets if you like things that are unspeakably awesome. Shout out to Wade Wilson, aka my God Kids sperm donor. I don't get that reference, but you know, she's promoting the film, and she's got all the people in there that spent a lot of time mocking Justin Baldoni. And I just found her in, like, she was very involved in their lives at this time because she was coming out of a breakup. And now this is just me knowing how women tick, okay? Women, when we get around other women, can be brought to a point where basically like almost like we start investing a little too much in their life. So if Taylor Swift's coming out of a breakup and she's all about like in her, you know, revenge phase, and they're hitting Joe Alwyn with article after article, Joe Alwyn, and they're saying, you know, he's taken from her, he's collecting, this is some articles that were written about him, millions of dollars for having written 2 lines on a song. He gets to collect royalties. However it is, they were coming at Joe Alwyn, who seems like a perfectly nice guy, just didn't work out. Maybe she's hearing that, you know, Taylor Swift is opening up to them, at least enough that they decide to mass unfollow him. And maybe it just starts getting like, she just starts getting a little gassed. Like Blake Lively starts getting gassed. Ryan Reynolds starts getting gassed. It's possible that this is just the expression proximity to power can delude some to thinking that they willed it, right? Like their proximity to Taylor Swift just had them thinking like, we are her and we're just going to Easter egg hunt this thing and just humiliate this guy as if it's an album. And use sexual harassment, which is crazy. But I'm not sure. I have question marks about Taylor Swift and her influence at that time. I think a lot of people were influential in this moment, and Ryan and Blake got very high, and it wasn't on their supply. It's Taylor Swift's supply. And they made some critical errors here. And I am just beside myself with excitement to know that they now have an official court date. I'm sad to report that it's not until 2026, March. They will be going to court. And there's a piece of me that knows that, of course, this trial is probably not going to make it to trial and they're going to end up settling. But don't worry, I will be like your girl on the ground until then. Until then, I will have every update for you. All right, don't go away. Have some really amazing betrayal happening, rich people problems with the Kennedys. The family, they just have a lot of family drama. I don't know. It's like a cursed family or something. I hate to say that, but like it's just a lot of stuff happens in that family. First, I want to just throw it to some of our sponsors, Preborn. If you guys want to hear some great news, the abortion pill reversal treatment, which provides women with a second opportunity to choose, is bringing babies back to life. When you join forces with Preborn Ministries, you empower women to reverse the curse. What you might not be aware of is that even though Roe was overturned and abortion has been greatly restricted in many states, the abortion pill has superseded surgical abortions, accounting now for over 60% of all abortions. Preborn's network of clinics are on standby for women in their darkest hour. They meet them with God's love and free services to help them choose life. Through ultrasounds and the abortion reversal protocol, Preborn has rescued over 300,000 lives. So start this new year right by supporting life and by donating to Preborn today. One ultrasound is just $28 and $140 will help rescue 5 babies. To donate, just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby, or donate securely at preborn.com/Candace. That's preborn.com/Candace. And of course, American financing, because there are so many Americans that are carrying around really high credit card balances that charge 20% or more each and every month. It's time to take control of that debt. If you're a homeowner and you've been waiting to figure out how to get your finances in order, you should call my friends at American Financing today, because American Financing salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you tap into their home's equity to get out of high-interest debt. They're saving their average customers $800 a month by doing this. Saving that kind of money every month should make the decision really easy. All it takes is a 10-minute, no-cost, no-obligation phone call to find out how much money you could be saving. And if you start today, you may be able to suspend 2 mortgage payments. So call American Financing at 800-795-1210. That's 800-795-1210. Or you can visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. That's americanfinancing.net/Owens. I cannot wait to hear you guys, what your feedback on that. And listen, do not drag me, Taylor Swift fans, okay? What I have to tell you guys, just more broadly speaking, rich people problems, it's real. I believe in rich people problems. I have subscribed to that since I was a child. Like, I have realized that they just live different. Like, the things that happen when I would just like visit a rich friend's house that just could have never have happened in my house, the way they talk to their parents. You know what I mean? If I'm in the car and they're like, "Shut up, mom." And I'm like, if I said that to my mom, how the speed at which a shoe would have hit me, it just is incredible to me, okay? So when I see certain things that are happening, I'm just like, these are rich people problems, and I like to step into them and try to understand them and be sympathetic to them, not empathetic, but sympathetic to them. And so this RFK Senate hearing is something that I have been invested in. And by the way, RFK Jr., huge reason why Trump won, obviously, because people that were more moderate, who maybe were like, I hate Donald Trump, were brought over to like the MAHA game, Make America Healthy Again. They liked RFK Jr. as a moderate candidate, not too far left. And I think that's kind of the direction that America is going in general, which is kind of refreshing. Like, we're trying to find out what it is that we have in common. And right now, one of those things is that we don't want Justin Baldoni to go down. Okay, fair. So he is now scheduled to appear before a Senate panel tomorrow. It is going to be crucial to advance his nomination. He will appear in front of the Senate Committee on Finance, and they will ultimately be the committee that decides to vote on whether he will be nominated to be the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. Now, I just want to let you know that these cousins are out of pocket these days, okay? I don't know what's going on here, but his cousin Caroline decided to release a video on X, okay? This is President John F. Kennedy's daughter released a video on X in which she rips him and talks about all the reasons why he should not be nominated to this position. This is some family drama. You don't do this. You don't do this in front of the scenes. This is not right, okay? No ethics here. Rich people have no morals right now. I'm going to let you listen to what I felt was the most interesting part of her testimony against his nomination. Take a listen.
I've known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator. He's always been charismatic. able to attract others through the strength of his personality, his willingness to take risks and break the rules. I watched his younger brothers and cousins follow him down the path of drug addiction. His basement, his garage, his dorm room were always the center of the action, where drugs were available, and he enjoyed showing off how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed to his hawks. It was often a perverse scene of despair and violence.
So that threw me for a loop, and I know that I should be focusing more on the content of her words, but I need to focus on her saying that he is just throwing chickens and mice in a blender, because I just said to myself, wait, what? What blender is this? As someone who cooks, and I'm going to ask you guys, okay? If you cook like I cook, what blender is it that is just casually blending up full chickens? How is this working? Okay, how is he just throwing chickens and mice into a blender to give to his hawk? She says, again, we're now graduating to a new world of rich people. They've got pet hawks and they're feeding them stuff out of a blender. But I went, wait a second, isn't he also really old? He's also really old, and he would have been in college. As she says, that this happens in his dorm room, or his basement, his dorm room. In what, the 70s? He would have been in college. What's the year, Skylar, that RFK Jr. was born? Was he born in like 54? Okay, so we're talking about 1975-ish. Even sooner, that when he would have graduated college or been in college or been in a dorm room grinding up baby chickens and a mice for his pet hawk, right? And so I asked them to pull up is this like old technology? Is this like why we never went back to the moon? The technology is just lost? Because I like a blender that strong. It doesn't exist, okay? It doesn't exist in my book. I can't even sometimes blend the amount of vegetables that I have. And yet he's out here, maybe this is like a blender for rich people, blending up chicken. So we looked it up. This is the 1975 Sunbeam blender. This was the best technology that they had for him to be grinding up chickens and grinding up mice. So I'm not saying that it's ethical to do that. I'm just questioning her narrative because she's not under oath that he did that. And if there is a blender that's strong enough to do that, if it's not lost technology, I'd like to know what it is, okay? So she goes on, and I want to hear you guys tell me if you think that that's true. I'm looking at the chat right now, and we're all wondering, what is he? Okay, this person says that their Vitamix F's crap up. Really? Yeah, but not in 1970. They didn't have Vitamix in 1975. Yeah, see? This is very shady. I'm telling you right now, if RFK starts selling blenders, I'm buying it. Okay, that's my main takeaway from what she said right there. I'm buying whatever blender it is that he puts his name on. But let's get to the more serious part of her allegations, discussing the fact, of course, that he is anti-vax, as yours truly is as well. Take a listen.
And now we know that Bobby's crusade against vaccination has benefited him in other ways, too. His ethics report makes clear that he will keep his financial stake in a lawsuit against an HPV vaccine. In other words, Bobby is willing to profit and enrich himself by denying access to a vaccine that can prevent almost all forms of cervical cancer and has already been safely administered to millions of boys and girls.
This lie bothered me so much. So you guys know my backstory of how I became anti-vax. I was actually one of the many women who were injured by the HPV vaccine, the Gardasil vaccine, had a mini seizure right in the room, and they told me not to get any more of the series because it was at least a 3-part series. And so it was the thing that woke me up. So I did extensive research on this vaccine, and this woman is just out here lying. She's lying about the success of the vaccine. She's lying about, the amount of women that you will see that speak out about what happened to them after they got that Gardasil vaccine, because we were told that it could, as she is saying, prevent HPV, which leads to cancer. First and foremost, HPV in over 90% of cases clears up by itself, okay? It's an STI that's very difficult to understand because it didn't exist when I was super young, but then suddenly they roll out this shot and they're like, yeah, everyone has this. And sometimes if you're a part of the 2% of people who it doesn't clear up with automatically, it might lead to cervical cervical cancer. And I actually did the math on my Shot in the Dark series. And this is like one of the first episodes, which I'm so happy to tell you guys, Shot in the Dark is coming back tomorrow. It's one of the first things that I showed people is how they lied and how there has been no decrease in those cancers. And those cancers in general are extremely rare. And yet they were able to force this vaccine on first all women and then all men. Magically, they were like, actually, it could even help men. It is one of the most obvious examples of big pharma fraud. And so to hear her repeating these talking points as someone who was injured, I was so frustrated. We just got women out here right now lying. They're just telling lies. Like we cannot trust the science of women right now. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying all women lie. I'm saying too many of them are being caught in lies. Too many of them are on camera lying. Too many of them are texting with their homies about dragons and actually having their husbands. Like we're just catching them in lies left and right. And this is why I say, right? I don't believe women. I don't believe men. I believe facts, okay? And it is so important for us to tether ourselves to the reality that there are people who will stab their own cousins in the back to get ahead, okay? There are people who will take advantage of a male feminist who is way too nice, so that they can get ahead. There are people like Brandon Sklenar who will have worked with someone who was nothing but fawning over them and kind and stab them in the back if they think that it means that they can be cast in a bigger movie and a bigger project, which by the way, Brandon Sklenar, who's also on my list, he's on my list. I'm checking it off, checking it twice. But, you know, he's the actor that openly mocked Justin Baldoni on his own film. He did recently get cast by a director who directed Blake Lively in A Simple Favor. So I do feel that he did this as a leg up, and it absolutely sickens me. Now, I know that we are almost out of time here, so I'm going to get to some of your guys' comments about all of this, but I want to just ruin your entire life right now before we do this. Don't be upset with me. I'm going to ruin your life. That Caroline that you just heard with the mice and the hawks and the blender from the 1970s, she is the Caroline. I mean, when I say the Caroline, sweet Caroline. Oh, everybody just suddenly got transported back to a bar or a baseball game right when I did that. Sweet. Yeah, not so sweet. That's her. That is actually her, people. Yeah. Caroline Kennedy is the Caroline of the song. Neil Diamond said that he saw a picture of then 9-year-old Caroline Kennedy in a magazine while he was staying at a hotel in Memphis. He said, quote, "It was a picture of a little girl dressed to the nines in her riding gear, rich people, next to her pony, richer people. It was such an innocent, wonderful picture. I immediately felt there was a song in there." A few years later, Diamond penned the song inspired by the photograph. Yes, everyone in the chat's going, no way, yes way. I'm so sorry I had to ruin your life. That's what I'm here for. Now, every time you hear it, you're going to think of a mice in a blender. Because for some reason, I guess hawks want the mice in blender. I thought they just scoop them up with their big old beaks, but apparently this one wanted it pureed. You're going to think of pureed chicken and mice every time. Sweet Caroline. I go like, no. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm getting to your comments after I tell you about home title lock, because did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity, and cyber criminals are targeting it with a growing scam that the FBI calls house stealing? Scammers can transfer your title of your home out of your name using a one-page document that they have to file at the county. They can then take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. And the scariest part is you won't even find out about it until collection or foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox, leaving you with a financial and a legal nightmare. The best way to protect against that, to protect your equity, is with Home Title Lock's exclusive $1 million triple lock protection. This service offers 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and if fraud should occur, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title. So when was the last time that you checked on your title in general? If your answer is never, that's exactly what the scammers are counting on. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock to offer you all a chance to make sure that you are not already a victim. When you use my promo code Candace at HomeTitleLock.com, you'll get 30 days of free protection and a free title history report to lock in your peace of mind. And be sure you check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code Candace. Okay, I gotta read your comments. The chat is going crazy. Say it's not funny. I'm ruining lives here. It's like, I know it's true. You're never gonna hear that song. You're never gonna feel good about it ever again. Okay, Marta writes, "Hey Candace from Canada. Any tips for someone who was left leaning for 5.5 years and recently began coming to my senses about a year ago? A lot of things are drilled into my brain that I'm trying to unlearn. Also, when are you coming to Canada?" Listen, you don't have to do what I did. People say, people take the red pill. I kind of snorted the red pill. What you're doing is great. Just hear different perspectives. And I think one of the biggest things is that you realize that the barrier to your transformation is the mainstream media. And that's why I love this Justin Baldoni example, because it really shows us that we're not so far apart. Like, I'm sure people who hated Trump were like, well, there's just no way. The New York Times says Trump did this, and now they may be going, okay, wait, if I can apply that to Justin Baldoni and see what they're doing to him, maybe it also happens to conservatives. You're not required to love Trump, but maybe the next time a case comes up, you'll go, well, let me just examine because I don't trust the New York Times. So stick with that, listen to different perspectives, and always just be willing to challenge your own notions by reading the other side of things is what I would say. Andy said no comment, but gave us a great donation. So thank you, Andy, for supporting the show. Kent Girl says, I am glad a light is being shed on Blake Lively and the Justin feud. As a sexual harassment victim myself, sexual harassment is not a weapon, and her fake reporting of this makes it harder for real victims to come forward. Yes, I totally agree. I think people that actually experience any sort of sexual trauma, harassment, would be a little bit reticent to make it like into a joke. Gordon Reynolds, shut up. You know what I mean? Seriously, you're acting like children. That's what I mean. All of these celebrities suffer from arrested development. They don't behave according to their age. And I have to remind people of their age because you see it and you're like, oh, it's Ryan Reynolds. It's like, no, that's a 48-year-old man. Okay? He is basically 17 years away from being able to get a discount at IHOP. The senior discount. He is closer to the senior discount, okay? It's like we just need to put things into perspective. And they behave that way because they're treated that way by assistants and people fawning over them all the time and not just telling them no. That's what Blake Lively needed to hear. I am sorry you wrote this scene and rewrote it. That's actually not what we hired you for. My answer is no. Kim Pruitt writes, I love you, Candace from Tennessee. Whoop, whoop. Shouldn't Ryan face legal repercussions for writing the rooftop scene during the writer's strike? Actually, if you look at the timeline, it was before the writer's strike. So this took place in April. And we can probably pull that timeline back up. The writer's strike began in June. So he would have written it just before. And so, yeah, otherwise he would have probably faced consequences. But again, nobody knew he was writing it. And you can see that in the lawsuit because the studio exec heads are like, what is this? After she says it on the red carpet, they're like angry. And they're like, why weren't we told that Ryan wrote this? This is like a major problem. There's legal issues. Like we don't have a contract out to him. And everyone's going, we didn't know. Like she said, you're the first person to find out because she literally told a random E! News reporter first. Haley writes, Candace, we would love to see you doing media in the White House. Have you seen what Caroline Leavitt said about their media chair opening? Praying for a healthy pregnancy. God bless. I am happy in Tennessee and we just sold our place in DC. So we are out of there at the moment. And like I said, I like culture and politics. And so I don't want to feel squeezed into one corner only. But I wish Caroline Leavitt the best. I'm sure she's doing a fantastic job. Mr. Joker writes, 8 years ago, there was a viral fan video of Deadpool visiting Logan's grave. Very similar to the opening of Deadpool and Wolverine. I will have to check that out. I'm not a Deadpool stan. I think it's kind of like, I don't know. Guys like it, I guess, think it's funny. The anti-hero theme. It's not really for me. I like things that are a little bit more complex and require a little more skill than Ryan throwing a temper tantrum against a guy who he perceives as someone that he can bury because he's not fighting back. That's the worst part of this. Just the most egregious part is that Ryan did this as a true bully, basically finding a person who can't stand up to him or won't stand up to him. And when he feels confident that that's the relationship established, he takes advantage to make himself feel bigger. No one put up a fight here. He would never do this to most men because he would just get boxed in the face. And he knows that. So he's like, let me find the small guy. It's like the person that picks on the super nerdy, geeky guy who just like comes in and wants to do his homework. And he doesn't want to fight you. And so you just go over and you're just like, yeah, what's up, punk? It's like, you're not tough for bullying Justin Baldoni. You're the weakest person in the entire world. I'm going to add Ryan to my list. You know what list I'm talking about, but I can't say it on YouTube or I'm going to get banned. But you know the list. Zelensky's on the list. Now Ryan Reynolds is on the list. I think it'd be funny if he got beat up by a girl. really funny if I got beat up by a girl, so I might do that. Oh, darn, I said I wasn't going to say it, and I did say it. Okay, Crippy Sue Creates writes, when he wins this case, I hope he donates $50K to a cause that you support, like saving babies. You deserve to be paid for the work that you've done. He wouldn't, because we disagree on everything politically. I'm telling you, I've looked through his Instagram. I've tried to find one point, like what would be the thing that me and Justin Baldoni could agree to donate on, and I don't think it exists. So if you guys have some ideas, let me know. Let me know. Maybe he can just donate to my podcast. That would be nice. How about just a nice donation to my podcast like you guys are doing here? One guy's old opinion writes, they seem to be all cutthroats from Hollywood to me. None of the situation makes me anything. I don't care how wuss actor millionaires are treating each other. I care very much, because politics, as Andrew Breitbart once said, is downstream from culture. And like I said at the top of the show, all of these things are related. So we have to, kill these demons in Hollywood. We have to fight these demons in culture if we're going to win politically. And that's my belief. Naisha Molina writes, I would love to have a conversation with you, a young mother of 4. I have a 13-year-old son, 8 to 11-year-old daughters, and an 18-month-old daughter. I won't vaccinate, and the Cincinnati Children is very aggressive about vaccines. I actually covered the Cincinnati Children's Hospital, ironically, about vaccines on my episode. I can't remember what number it is, but again, that's all dropping tomorrow on CandaceOwens.com. So look out for that, and you will probably get an answer to your question, because they were extremely aggressive in Ohio, and they send people to your front door, like CPS to your front door. And I had some people that were sharing stories about that, and I got questions about it. Belle Eve writes, gross, 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 from Justin's groveling voicemail, yes, to Blake's red carpet lies and Tay's immoral influence. I'm nauseated. Thank you for the dive into T-Swift's involvement. I knew there was more. I just have questions. I'm not trying to get killed by T-Swift bans, but I do have questions. And lastly, Haley Palmas writes, Candace, can you do a deep dive into MLK and Rosa Parks? Yeah, let me help you. They killed him. Okay. If you want to watch the episode about MLK, you can go back and watch my sit down with Judge Joe Brown. I think it has like 3 million views. Incredible. He was involved in the case. He tells you every little detail. So I wasn't exactly waiting for the MLK files to get declassified by Trump, because I had Judge Joe Brown, who worked on the case, and told me exactly what kind of gun the FBI used allegedly. YouTube, don't come for me. Everything's a joke until further notice. I've seen some videos on TikTok saying that Americans are being lied to about MLK and that it's a psyop. Thank you and God bless. Again, yes, check out Haley. Definitely check out that sit down I did with Judge Joe Brown. All right, guys, reminding you, Standis Cups are at Club Candace. If you want to support the show, hey, maybe that's what he could do. Justin Baldoni could go to clubcandace.com and buy tons of Standis Cups and just give them out. But no, he wouldn't, because it says everything is fake and gay. And he would be like, no, that's not nice. And he wouldn't do it. He'd say that hurts someone's feelings. I'm trying to find something, guys. I'm really trying to find something. Maybe he can just give them away to people that do like the show and think it's funny. I don't know. Anyways, Justin Baldoni, call me up, hit me up. We will find a middle ground. I like yoga. Feels like something. Feels like a starting point. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. Tomorrow, exciting day. CandaceOwens.com. We are going to be launching A Shot in the Dark. We have the Emmanuel Macron series, which is coming out on Friday. Most of it is going to be on CandaceOwens.com, because YouTube will come for me quickly if I get into this series on YouTube. But we will be starting the series on YouTube, meaning that I will just kind of give you guys a brief background to everything that has happened and why it is relevant in America. And beyond that, though, we are just having so much fun. Really, this has just been just the best year already, and it's only January. So you guys, we will see you tomorrow.